Hello, welcome back to the Intentional Living Project. It is Fulfilling Relationships Week, and we have relationship therapist Rachel Madorsky here, who is going to share with us 4 simple secrets to improve our relationships. Now, I'm really excited because when I spoke with Rachel a while ago, she shared some of her secrets with me, and I've been talking about them ever since. And I love getting those little pieces of information that stick with me, that actually click in my brain and help me to make some subtle shifts in the way that I do life in some way. So I'm so excited to have Rachel with us today to share her secrets with you. Hi, Rachel. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Elena. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
So to get started, Rachel, would you tell us just a little bit about your story and how you got into doing this relationship work?
Yes, the short version of my story is, when I was younger, I saw a lot of suffering really early on, and it was, I think, very much relationship related. And I remember just feeling, wow, I wish, as I'm sure many kids do, I wish I could make everybody feel better. I wish I could stop all this suffering. And then, as years went on, I became a psychotherapist 20 years ago. And in my own life, I noticed, wow, some of the sources of my greatest joy is my relationship. And some of the source of my greatest pain is, guess what, also my relationship. So I got really interested in helping people, myself included, have really authentic, deep, happy relationships.
That's so true. My sister always calls it having the bitter with the sweet or the sour with the sweet, and that they just kind of balance each other. So I like how you said that, like the greatest source of joy and the biggest source of difficulty and stress can be a relationship. So you know how challenging relationships are. What are some challenges your clients see? What are things they're looking to work on?
One of the biggest trends I notice in clients is when they're reaching out, people usually wait almost too long before they're willing to reach out, because we all, I think, feel some kind of shame about saying, hey, I need help here. But by the time people get to me, they're calling it a communication issue. And really, it is a communication issue in a way, even though the issues that might be presenting all look different. Meaning it can be about sex, it can be about money, it can be about the kids, it can be about just a sense of not feeling close and connected anymore. But everyone seems to find the word communication as a source or some connector with what's wrong.
Great. Okay. And would you say, are you seeing that as well, that it really is communication, or is it something underneath?
I think it's always both. So I think a major part of what goes wrong is in our communication. And it's not that we're not good communicators. I think really what it is that when we're stirred up, we're not usually, the place that we're coming from when we're communicating usually isn't our best self. And we usually don't take the time to really feel what's going on underneath the surface. And that's when you get a lot of fights that look like, a gridlock, or we're fighting about the same thing over and over. And it's because it's about something deeper that we're not really talking about.
Yeah. So what are some of the secrets? What are the ways we manage this, communication breakdown or the underlying issues that keep us in that same cycle or pattern?
Yes. So what I think I'd like to share first, and I promise I'll get to these 4 secrets, is I just want to say I think there's kind of like an overall secret. So I hope at least one of these secrets really sticks so you can use it and that it's fun for you. But the overall one, really to me, that they all encompass is our attitude, which is really how are we feeling and how are we looking at the situation? Because how we look at something has so much more to do with how it'll turn out, how we will react, how we will act, than the actual situation itself, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Okay, so tip number 1 is, and this is one of my favorites, I might say that about all 4, but tip number 1 is recognize that your relationship is your personal growth. And what I mean by that is, a dear friend and colleague when I was younger shared with me, she said, when you get married, really you're marrying yourself. And I had no idea what she was talking about until years later. And what I know now is all the things we see in our partner that drive us nuts, there's some connection to something about us, ourselves, that needs some attention, that needs to be looked at. And so if we can just start shifting how we're looking at our relationship and how we look at conflict, like, oh no, or I know a lot of people experience sometime into their relationship, maybe I picked the wrong person to be like this. And on some level, I want to say, yeah. I mean, and it's not that you can't leave if you're in a bad relationship. It's just to say that this is our opportunity to let whatever comes up be an opportunity to look at what's really going on inside of us and learn whatever gift, whatever lesson there is to learn. And I think when we shift to that perspective, we drop some of our resistance to the stress or the conflict. And it's actually that resistance that's really causing us pain in our relationship, not the conflict that needs to be resolved.
Almost like the challenge can be embraced as, here's my opportunity to grow. Here's my opportunity to try something new or do something different from within myself.
Yes. And you can ask yourself, like, what is it that I really want to learn? Not like you got to learn a lesson, but from the place of what is my higher self wanting for me? What's the positive intention behind this seemingly difficult situation? There's always a positive intention.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
So what's number 2?
Number 2. Okay. Number 2 is keep growing no matter what. Sometimes I'll hear from clients, or I'll see someone and they'll say, my partner doesn't want to come in, or my partner isn't willing to A, B, and C. And I think it makes people feel like we have to pause or we have to stop. Or there's some clients who'll come in and they love to grow. They just love personal growth, and I can relate to this too, and just want to grow. And then there's a fear, well, what happens if my partner doesn't? Will there be too big of a gap or something like that? When I always tell people, again, this was beautiful advice that was given to me and made a huge difference in my own life, is that you need to keep growing no matter what. Because the truth is, if you don't grow, you won't be happy. And your marriage or your relationship won't make it by you staying small and not letting yourself be everything that you are and want to be. So you keep growing. And then I'll just add this one other little thing. Oh, you look like you wanted to say something.
No, that's okay. Add the other thing and then I'll ask.
I think I just forgot it. What's the other thing? It'll come back to me.
Okay. I was just going to ask, so as we're on that path, some of us are personal growth junkies. And as we're learning new things, what do you recommend we do with our partners? Do we share what we're learning? Do we keep it to ourselves? If there is that fear that, oh no, we'll end up on different levels, maybe, how do we handle that?
Yeah, great question, which is connected to what I wanted to say, which is that, yes, as long as we're sharing from a generous and loving place, you will be amazed that you can actually bring your partner along with you. Everyone grows at a pace that feels okay to them. And for some of us, it's really scary to grow. And for some of us, we're just so thirsty for it and we want to run all the way there. But sharing openly and honestly with your partner can never be a bad thing, as long as the intention is to create closeness. And the thing that I wanted to say that I've seen, which I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen it myself, is that sometimes what happens is when we're growing, our own capacity to receive gets bigger and bigger. And we often inspire our partner. It's when we're like growing and trying to like show our partner how much we're growing and hope that, and trying to drag them along with us, that usually creates resistance. But I've also seen it the other way, where it's just so inspiring to see a partner wake up or be more filled with joy or more filled with peace, that the partner wants to eventually come along. And I've seen that too.
I really appreciate how you set, I guess, the umbrella statement of that, which is to share with the intention to create closeness. That's huge for me.
Yeah,
Awesome.
sometimes, go on.
Oh, go. No, please continue.
No, I just know sometimes, we share to like a commercial or try to teach our partner something or show our partner something. But yeah, when we're really sharing because we want to be connected, that's the result we usually get.
I love it. I love it. I want to just pause there. I want that just to like sink into me, like to every cell of my body. But let's go on. What's number
Okay.
3?
All right, number 3. Um, this one's really good, I find, for when you actually are in a conflict. And secret number 3 is remember that you and your partner are on the same side. I love this one because sometimes it can just turn a heated conflict into a co-creation event. Meaning, if you aren't sitting next to your partner, you might want to actually shift and sit next to your partner. So so that it's actually the two of you here and kind of looking out at whatever the issue is. And someone can actually, either partner can remind the other, you can just say, hey, whatever we've got going on right now, however serious it is, let's remember that we're on the same side and that the goal is that we feel close and happy and can move forward together. And then you can begin to look at whatever the conflict is from a new perspective and kind of solve it together instead of at each other. We can drop that right-wrong game, which we're all very good at, but nobody wins, and move on to kind of sharing how you want it to go together.
Again, I think this one is huge. That shift from it's me versus you into it's you and I working on this goal or this problem that's out there together. And this is one of the ones that my husband and I have talked about several times since I spoke to you, just that, we get to pause and say, hang on a second, we're on the same team here. Let's look at this in a partnership rather than it's my way or your way. I love it.
Thank you. I like it too. I know my husband and I have a thing where I've noticed when we do that, just the reminder that we love each other in the middle of an argument can soften everything in the conflict. Okay, number 4. Number 4 is make it fun for you. I was debating whether to share this, but here it comes. So in addition to my work as a psychotherapist, I'm also an improviser. I do improv comedy, and my husband and I perform and teach together. And it was a life changer for me. And now I use some of that improvisation in some of the coaching and speaking and work that I do with couples and businesses, because there's a magic that happens when we lighten up and when we laugh with each other. And what I love about this secret, make it fun for you, is that in any situation, whether it's doing chores or going to dinner and with people that you feel like you have to look good for, or teaching something, whatever it is, if you can remind yourself, how do I make it fun for me? It's just a shift in attitude to like, how can I make this lighter? How can I make this easier? How can I enjoy this more? And it can change everything.
I'm so glad you said that, because as you were speaking, I'm like, okay, there's some of us that are, like the how to, I need you to, tell me how to do it, because I don't know necessarily how to just lighten up or how to make something fun. And so I love your question. If I can pause, step back and ask myself, how could I just make this fun for me?
Yes.
And just looking at it that way, I think asking the question just opens up the space to have some insight.
Yeah, I find it's really interesting to me too, because we all have a different response to it. And I love that you're pointing it out, really just like asking it for yourself. Because you might have the question, well, how? But you'll actually intuitively know if you ask yourself. And sometimes it's just a shift from having to be right to relaxing about whatever the thing is. You know, it can be anything, and just a gentle, oh yeah, this life is for me. This is all for me. So how can I make it more fun for me? Make it more fun for you.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Rachel, could you just tell us really quickly, I'd love to get to hear your perspective as your clients and yourself are working on these kind of tips and tricks. What do you see for them? What changes in their life?
Well, one of the things I love to see is couples that have been together for a long time letting go and having more fun together. And, you know, fun is such a connector to our passion, to our sense of feeling alive. So I think what happens when we start, I mean, all four of these are basically ways to make our life gentler and easier and lighter. And so the benefits that I see are people enjoying themselves more, their partners more, their relationships more, and also expanding their ability to receive good. Our mind is so trained to, like, you know, gloss over everything and then find the thing that's wrong and then try to fix the thing that's wrong. And, you know, what we know is whatever you put your attention on expands. So if you start putting your attention on how could this be more fun, or how can my partner and I feel like we're on the same side, or my partner doesn't feel like growing right now, whatever that means, but I'm going to read that book, or I'm going to take that yoga class, or I'm going to start taking a walk every day. And these small changes are actually life changers for people, myself included.
Thank you. Rachel, thank you so much. I feel like there's so much amazing content or just great ideas. Or you all know at this point, my big goal is always to have just practical solutions. What can we take and grasp and start applying to our life today? And I feel like these 4 tips are just huge. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like they're huge. So just a quick review. Number 1 is to recognize that your relationship is your personal growth. Number 2, grow no matter what, no matter who else around you is or is not. Remember, it's about you and your growth. Number 3, remember you and your partner are on the same side. You are a team. And number 4, make it fun for you. So you all, we would love to hear from you. What of these tips or tools are sticking out for you? What's something that's going to be logged in your head that you might be talking about or focusing on? And how might that impact your relationship? Rachel, thank you so much. I know how jam-packed busy your schedule is these days. I appreciate you taking the time to connect with us and share with us your simple secrets that I really do believe can affect a relationship in a really positive way pretty quickly.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. And
we'll, of course, have Rachel's website address below the video so that you can easily find her and connect with her. And she also has little tips that she puts out on her Facebook page. So get to her website, like her Facebook page, and then you'll get to stay in tune with more simple tricks to impact your relationships with other people and, of course, with yourself. Thanks again, Rachel.
Thank you, Elena.